According to Forbes.com, U.S. cannabis sales hit record $17.5 billion as Americans consume more marijuana than ever before. It goes on to say the coronavirus was good for some industries and ruinous for others. For cannabis, 2020 was a breakout year because it was fucking legalized. Legal states across the U.S., 15 states now allow adult use, 35 for medical use, hit a record $17.5 billion, a 46% increase from 2019. I mean, of course it's a 46% increase from 2019. We're all sitting at home, we're all bored, and y'all are making it legal. That's like the year after alcohol prohibition got pulled or got retracted or whatever. Them saying alcohol sales have gone up 30% since pre-prohibition. I mean, of course. But the U.S. legalizing marijuana to make more tax revenue off of it when they're down bad is about the most American thing I can think of. That's what America does. America puts people in a box that like to do a certain thing. They demonize whatever's in that box. They see what the money-making potential of the things in said box are, and then they take that box over. Whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a race of people. It could be a product. It could be an idea. It could be so many things, but America, when it doesn't know about it, or it's not 100% sure about it, or it's not in our best political agenda to be for it, they're going to be against it, demonize it, find a way to make money off of it, and then profit off of it. When I saw this article today, it is obviously, because I am in the cannabis industry, a positive. I guess it's not really obvious. Because right now, we live in a pretty unregulated, pretty untaxed cannabis state. So for the legal cannabis, if you're in the legal cannabis lane, for example, with Delta-8 THC, with CBD, with the legal things that are legal here in Texas, it's interesting thought. I think I've talked about this on the show before. It's interesting thought whether you want legalization to happen, whether you want that regulation. So you want that regulation to come in to make sure everybody's safe. But then when it comes to taxation and it comes to the harsh regulations, the unnecessary regulations, then it becomes a moment of, I might have liked it better when it was illegal. For example, people talk about people have been commenting on my videos, the fact that some cannabis in Texas, some weed in Texas is cheaper than some weed in legal states. And yeah, I can admit that in California or a lot of these places, a lot of these people are getting like the top bud or whatever. And I can admit, I'm rolling this, that it's possible that there's just fake bags and people are giving us weed that's not really legit from the source. But I can also say that some of the gas I've gotten here was up to par with some of the gas I've gotten in other legal states. And because of the taxes, the price was the same. The eighth here was $50. The eighth there was $50. There it was taxed at 30%, plus a packaging fee. So I ended up paying $15, $20 more for the eighth there. And even if the bud was marginally better where I was, I want my $25 back.
Mr. Bradley.
What's up, guys? It's GP back with another episode of GP's Free Game. Before I begin, CBD Hemp Library is back, so I'm super psyched about that. So if you guys do want to see some Delta-8 CBD reviews, hear us talk some shit, do check out CBD Hemp Library. But on today's episode, I was really starting off with that article. I found that article this morning, and I wanted to talk about it. I want to talk about it for multiple reasons. One, because like I said, that obvious ass answer of why the amount of marijuana sales have gone up. Because it's literally legal in more places. I simply do not understand how that's not clear or how that even made the article. Most of the sales growth came from adult use markets, especially mature markets like Colorado. Sales grew by 26% to reach $2.2 billion, and Oregon sales hit $1.1 billion, a 29% increase over 2019. So these already legal states, because people were sitting at home more, because they've gotten the opportunity to also have more dispensaries. Like I even went up to Fort Collins, 2 months ago, and they had way more dispensaries when I lived there. I mean, not way more, but at least 5 more. And 5 more for a city the size of Fort Collins is way more. That becomes an abundance. That lowers the price. The prices were much lower. There were prices that I saw at some dispensaries that were simply not available when I lived there before. And then it says emerging markets like Illinois, which expanded its medical cannabis market to include adult use sales last year, the largest dollar gain in 2020, rising by $784 million. Well, like I said, that is now recently transitioning into becoming a recreational state. So as states transition from medical to recreational, the income will always go up. More people are going to have an abundance to the plant. And articles like this would make it seem like more people than ever are smoking marijuana in the U.S., and I don't think that's the case. I really don't think that's the case. I think it's more of the case, obviously, that things are being legalized. The same amount of people are smoking. I even noticed this. When I go to legal states, the main distinction I see with who's smoking and who's not smoking is definitely not with my age group. Wherever you are in the world, people might make, except maybe parts of the Middle East, and they still got that hash, are smoking. It's really when you see the older demographic. I swear on everything I own. One day I was sitting in King Soopers line across from my house in Fort Collins. It's this old couple. And when I say old, not like 50s old. I mean 75 old. The man had to be, and the woman in her 70s as well. After they leave the line, I'm sitting there. I always keep headphones in when I go grocery shopping. It's nice to get high, walk around, go grocery shopping, whatever. So I go in there, I'm grocery shopping, and as I see this old couple, after they check out, they're leaving, and he looks at his wife, he says, "Honey, now it's time to go get high." And I respected that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why would a 70-year-old person not be going home to get high? My grandmother sits at home all day long. She watches her sports. She watches her nighttime TV programs. She can't drive anymore. With COVID, she really can't get out. Why would she not be sitting at home getting high, enjoying her old age? I don't understand why old people don't smoke weed. Please put in the comments below why more old people don't smoke if you know, because it literally makes sense. When I get older, like when I'm talking about like when I get old, I promise you, hopefully there's still a platform where I can post videos. I will be smoking a crippling amount. My grandparents are going to be like, is granddad in a coma or is he just fucking faded? And you know, at that point, there's going to be like flour that's like 50% THC. You know, it literally looks like a crystal. It could double as a ring. And no, I'm not going to have had a stroke. I'm not going to be passed out. I'm literally just going to be so faded. I'm just going to be in that whole cooked with my grandkids. Hopefully, as if, I mean, if they're of age. I'm not talking about 8-year-old grandkids. I mean, I'll be cooked pre-hanging out with 8-year-old grandkids. But I mean, like, actually smoking with them, I'll wait till they're 18. especially with the type of issues that I have. From being an ex retard, being an ex football player, like the issues that came along with football, like with the brain issues, really the knee issues, the shoulder issues. This finger has literally been broken in half. The two bones came apart. My knee has been put in half on a football field. You know what I'm saying? That turf was so hot. When my head hit it, it was like scrambled eggs on that bitch. You know what I'm saying? The weed helps. It helps now, and it certainly will help when I'm in my 70s, 80s. God, like hopefully, God willing, I get there. You know what I mean? Even if I'm in a wheelchair, no matter what circumstance I'm in, when I'm an old man, please give me some gas. Old people that aren't working, it doesn't make any sense to me why they're not smoking. And I'm sorry I'm going on this, but it's something that I've given a lot of thought to. It's like homeless people in the cold. You know? Why don't homeless people go to a warm place? I know it's a lot of psychological things, like a lot of them are mentally challenged, a lot of them only know this area, safety, whatever. But if I was homeless, I would think, like if I was in Detroit homeless, I think I would just walk south and be homeless closer to the beach. And maybe I'm tripping. I've never been homeless. And this isn't a talk to make fun of the homeless. This isn't anything like that. But that is like a serious question I've always had. Why the fuck homeless people are in cold places? You don't have anything to do. Just start walking south. Be warm. Don't freeze to death. But I digress. Back to old people and their necessity to smoke weed. They have issues. They have health issues. They have all types of things. Marijuana smoke entering their lungs, unless they have some type of specific lung issues, probably is not their biggest health risk. I know our generation is going to be different, though. I know these fucking, old people that grew up and believed in Ronald Reagan's bum ass, or Richard Nixon's bum ass, or even Bill Clinton's stupid ass. They went along with this drug charade. Old people, for how wise they claim to be, and I'm sorry for any old people watching this. I really do apologize, but old people, for how wise y'all claim to be, y'all really got hoodwinked in y'all's day. Yeah, y'all really got hoodwinked. Like all this stuff coming out about how the public was just so lied to really makes me think about how much today we're being lied to be honest. Like, they're talking about to make Africa look like a less important place on the map. If you look at maps, like for real, if you look at like the map you were taught in school and stuff like that, they're going to make Africa make it seem like it's the same size as like parts of Europe, or a lot of South America is bigger than it or something like that. And Africa is a big ass place. Like, they literally fuck up the map so non-Christian places look smaller than Christian places. And we know, obviously, like, what races are attached to these things. I'm not going to get into a race debate or anything like that, but it's just interesting to me. Like, the moon landing, to me, if you go back and look at the moon landing video, bro was sitting in what was it? He was sitting in a lawn chair on top of the rover, Stuff like that raised an alert in my head, like, they didn't find anything better than a lawn chair. A lawn chair is the most efficient thing to sit on in space, you know? Maybe like cheap PVC plastic or whatever, maybe that is the most efficient. Maybe that's how your buoyancy is supposed to sit in space. But those are the things that make me question the history that we've been taught and the things that we've been taught. And old people, they be quoting this stuff to me about the stuff that they were taught. And I'm like, I don't think that's right. Maybe this is the old people I've been around. Maybe you guys are around a much more educated, older population, but a lot of the older people I'm around are so closed-minded based off of the bullshit that they were taught that it's tough to like change their mind about even something as simple as the medicine marijuana that could help them in that exact moment. They be in pain. I know in some ways there is a way that marijuana could help at least alleviate or ease that pain, but their fears from being hoodwinked for so long are so strong that there's no, and maybe that's just what years of life do to you. Maybe the human brain is conditioned to be conditioned to make life easier. So, for example, if you were in Houston your whole entire life, your brain isn't thinking about what it's like to be cold. I mean, obviously until there's winter storm, but it's not thinking about what it's like to be cold. So your brain is conditioned to think in a light that's like loving like warm places or something like that. I don't know if it's making sense exactly what I'm saying, but maybe the human brain, I guess I'm saying, is it's natural for us to be conditioned in a certain light. Therefore, as old people, they've been conditioned for so long to think a certain way that they literally are incapable of being open to something new. And I've met old people to defend old people. I have met plenty of old people that are extremely open to new things. I just wish they'd smoke with me, I guess. Because I think it could help. And it might make them nervous, but I think even some Delta-8, something that's like low in THC, I think some nice like 10 milligram Delta-8 edibles, you know? I think that could set an old person's mind right. You know, a lot of the, and for anybody. So let's get away from old people. I don't want to bash on old people. But for anybody who's closed-minded, anybody who's not open to change, anybody who can't see different sides of coins and things like that, I think marijuana can help you open up your mind to new perspectives, I guess. Because it's not just an old issue. There are plenty of young people who are also, and I'm not saying everybody should smoke weed. I'm not even saying weed is for everybody. But I think old people should try it. But that's not even really what I'm trying to say. But what I am trying to say is I think that we can get you into like a more open mindset. And so if we go back to what the government is doing, and the government is down bad, like I said, they're choosing to legalize marijuana as they're down bad. As you see, I'm rolling up again. I rolled a small one before, but I'm having a good time talking to you guys. It's going to be a longer video than I usually put out. But you guys truly see live here how quickly I roll too. I'm going to get back to my point in a second after I finish this. But I think for people that have closed minds and people who can't think of things outside of the realm that was forced maybe into them as children or during their childhood or whatever, I think marijuana helps you open up to the new things, even about yourself. And I know this is a little bit of a theoretical stoner talk, but I think that marijuana allows you to kind of like tap into a type of empathy that's not is 100% possible. It's not impossible, like in your normal mindset or whatever. But for some people, it just, for whatever reason, just makes you more open to some of these ideas. That's why I think stoner thought's an idea. I think that's why conspiracies a lot of times develop while people be getting high and shit, is because you're tapping into something that is, one, challenging the status quo. 2, challenging what you've been taught. 3, challenging yourself. And 4, challenging like your past self, challenging like kind of freeing your mind to be like, what I thought in the past was wrong, this is right. This is my new train of thought. And in 20 years from now, it might change again, but being open to that change, I guess. Have some Keith guy there. That Keith be making joints run, bro. If y'all don't know that, it is GP's free game, so I'll drop that little nugget for you. If you have a lot of Keef or a really Keefy strain and your joints, your blunts, whatever, continually run, a lot of times it's because the Keef didn't get in the middle of the J. It got on one end and it burned like pretty much, you could think of it like boiling points in science, but it burns at like a different temperature than the normal flour, so it runs. Same way, if you have wax only lining one side, it won't burn evenly a lot of times. Or you have to like let it sit like that and let the resin like burn around it all the way, But in this talk today, guys, I guess I just want to encourage you guys to be open-minded. And encourage myself to be open-minded as well. Sometimes it's easy to get caught in a train of thought that what you've been taught in the past is the right way to think about things. And in some ways, it's scary to do so. Because, like, for example, if, like, to think in your head, maybe the religion you thought as a kid was wrong could be a scary thought for some people or something like that. For me, I can still believe in something and still think maybe I'm wrong about it, to be honest. But for some people, and for me in some other arenas, it's like, damn, like this is how I've been thinking for 20 years. But because you've been thinking like that 20 years, it doesn't mean you have to think like that 20 years plus one day. You literally can change that train of thought that day if you want to, Anybody who watches GP's free game knows I just kind of smoke and just kind of talk about what I've been thinking about. This all really stemmed from marijuana being able to open people's minds up, but also opening people's pocketbooks up, and the government using now marijuana as a tactic to raise funds when they're down, which people have been doing forever. Every nigga in their life. Every smoking nigga in their life has been down bad before and decided to flip a pack so he could smoke a little more. Maybe I'm tripping. That's probably not true, but a lot of people have. Even like, I'm not even saying like any type of big time, not even an ounce. You know what I mean? I've sold like little, this is no time recent, but I'm talking about like college times. I've sold like little eighths or whatever off of a fucking half zip that I got, just because that doubles your money back up and it's pretty much you like smoke it for free. Everybody's done that math in their head before and figured out in their stoner mindset, how can I smoke a little bit cheaper? How can I avoid paying full price for this? Guys, comment below ways that you smoke to save. Or save while you smoke. For example, I just wrote 2 of them, but a lot of times, that's only for this video, but a lot of times I will roll these, what are these shits? 1.5s? No, the 1 and 1, the one that's below the 1 1/4, the one that's below the conventional size. You can't probably tell because it looks the same, but it's like these little tiny papers. This is what I try to roll for Perso because it's usually all I need for me personally. So instead of trying to roll even a 0.7, I roll like 0.4 of these mini J's, sit there and work. And then when I roll it with no filter, these are just some tips that I have. Rolling it with no filter is why I have to relight it so much. So people ask me why I have to relight it so much. I sit here and I talk to you guys. I sit there and I edit. I sit there and I even watch something. If you have a filter in there, I'm in no way a scientist. Actually, give me 1 second. The neighbors will complain. I'm in no way a scientist, but I do know, with my little physics knowledge, that's actually not physics, it's literally just experience. If you roll your J's, see, for example, I just put that down right now. You saw how long it took me to run out there and get that right quick. The J went out. I want it to go out. I don't want it to keep smoking itself. If you put a filter in there, it allows for easier passageway. That's what the filter does. It facilitates the smoking process. But it also would allow the air to smoke your J faster too. So if you do want to save some, a way that you can get it to go out, burn a little bit slower, because actually burn a bit slower. People always ask me why my J's stay lit so long. Even if I do keep hitting it, and it's because the pull on this side, just for example, if you have a J like this, watch it one day. See how much is on this side smoking and see how much is flowing out the other mouthpiece end. If you have a filter, it'll easily just be flowing out the other mouthpiece end. You can get huge puffs when you hit a filter J. J's like this, you still can, but you have to pull way harder. I prefer that. I don't want to smoke the J as quickly as possible. The downside, of course, is the filter a lot of times catches res. So if there is res in the air or something like that, that can suck. But if there's res in the air, I'm high as shit. If there's res in the J and it's pulling through, it can get it on your lips or whatever, and that sucks. But most of my weed really isn't too resiny. When you get into that CBD and Delta-8, though, for whatever reason, CBD is super resin. Like, I know why Delta-8 is, but CBD has so much resin. And the smell, and you know that, too, because the smell of CBD sticks to stuff more. The smell of smoked CBD sticks to stuff more. But that is my tip for you guys, for your J's. If you're good at rolling the mouthpieces, I did the math in my head one day, and it's been a lot since then. But I've rolled multiple thousands of joints in my life, and I know joints well to the extent that I know how to save them. I know how to roll them for any occasion, really. I know the J I want to roll in the morning. I know the J I want to roll at night. I know the J I want to roll in a group, by myself, 2 people, even 3 people. The size I want it. I know those dimensions, if you will, which I don't know if it's impressive, sad, or just a reality, but that's just a tip I'll share with you guys, if you want to preserve your J's, and if you mind not smoking them no filter, because I like smoking them no filter. 2 people, I'll smoke them no filter, but more than 2 people, I would never roll it no filter. And because of that, also, most of the time, multiple people were putting in, so it doesn't matter how much is put into you have enough to roll a big J, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't want to roll a pinner a smaller J for a group of 3 people. That doesn't make any sense. Unless it's just crazy potent weed, or you want a quick session. Because there's also ones that's you want a session in, but you hungry as shit. You want to go eat or something like that, or you want to smoke it quickly. You don't want to have to finish a 2-gram cone or something, Really, I'm going to chill with you guys till the end of this J. Then I'm probably going to go edit this video. I know this is a much longer video than I usually do. I appreciate you guys sticking with me this long. If you have, please hit the subscribe button. Because clearly that means you like my content if you've sat here for 40 minutes, right? I mean, I think that's what that would mean. Back to this article for a little bit. In California, market penetration increased from 37% to 39%. And I think that in California specifically, they're going to have to find a way to compete with the black market because they're still not really doing it. The black market is still like winning too much of the market share, but they're going to get there, I think. Or they might not. Their taxes are so fucking high, they literally might not. And they might be like, since this is a vacation spot and since people who are living here are now starting to have increased incomes because of the minimum it takes to live in some of the cities and the areas where the dispensaries are, maybe they won't care. Maybe they'll be like, the median income is this in this area, therefore, like, our prices are mandated because and what they have to pay minimum wage to workers even. I don't know. It's just, I will get tired of seeing these articles sit here and talk about how there's being more money made off cannabis as cannabis becomes more legal. Like, that is such a clear correlation. I think that people who aren't in the cannabis world, so somebody who wouldn't be watching this video, would have no idea, or really has no idea about, one, how many people do consume the multitude of ways to consume cannabis. How many people are in that market for real? How many of those people literally just smoke weed day to day? You know what I mean? I think a lot of people that don't smoke really don't think that a lot of people smoke, even regardless of age group. Like, people from 18 to 60, there are a large amount of people consuming weed, even if it's once a month, even if it's not a daily user. I don't think people realize that and realize how stupid the laws and how stuff looks to people that actually smoke, and realize people are using this stuff every single day. The government's not making money on it. Some people are making large amounts of money on it in legal states. We have friends, personal experiences of people getting locked up for this stuff. What the fuck is happening? It's just literally confusing. But I really think that people who are completely removed from any kind of cannabis sphere or whatever, any type of marijuana, even CBD sphere, really have even have a demonized view of it subconsciously, that they can't even think about it from a practical view, I guess I would say. And I hate to even put those people in a box, but I think that through education, and honestly through channels like this, hopefully through talks like this, is my idea that these people can start to understand that the thing that even subconsciously in their mind that they've demonized perhaps their whole entire life, they shouldn't even worry about. It's not going to change their life anyway if they don't want to use it, The one way I will say it probably would change a lot of these people's lives, though, is if they live in small places and their place is the only place to legalize weed for places around, because it's still a county issue, too. They might see an increased boom in population, or increased boom in visitation, at least. And a lot of people in small towns don't like that. For example, if Lubbock, Texas, which probably no one watching this video knows anything about, if Lubbock, Texas legalized weed, people crossing the highway, going across the top part of Texas from a medical right now New Mexico to illegal Arkansas, so many people would stop and get weed in Lubbock, smoke weed in Lubbock, hang out at the weed lounge in Lubbock. Like, Lubbock would be a hub for marijuana because it would be known as the place to go get it. And it's the only place, literally, people don't know the demographics for this area, but if you go to the west, it would be the only place to get it for currently at this time with current legalization laws for about 25 hours. And if you went to the west, or the east, sorry, it would be the only place to get marijuana probably till you got to DC right now. If you went north, you could get to Colorado in like 7 hours. And then south, it's still not even recreationally legal in Mexico. So you really can see the isolation that Lubbock would have. And the fact that somebody couldn't see this is astounding, and it really shows how people look at cannabis as a moral issue. Because think about that. Think about if you were the only city. That's not really possible because state law supersedes. But imagine if even Oklahoma, if it had complete recreational, imagine the island it's on. Like, it's right next to Colorado, yes. But imagine a state, Texas, 30 million people. Let's say 1%. It's such a low percentage. No, let's say 10% of people smoked marijuana in the state of Texas out of 30 million people, right? So if that population were smokers, and then let's take another 25% of that or whatever, go on vacation. Imagine if all those people every year flooded to Oklahoma for a quick trip to get some weed. And we're talking small populations, or small percentages of large populations, you know? And then that happened in Louisiana, and then that happened north of it. Fuck my geography. Kansas. Up there? Kansas? That's a place, right? But you get what I'm saying. Nebraska's around there somewhere, you know, hitting in the corn. Imagine if Oklahoma as a state was just recreational, like the type of income that would come to that state from the states around, and that's not what people would be able to justify in the court of law, because it's technically illegal for people in other states to be doing all that, especially if they're bringing it back, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, if you just think about it, the income that it would bring your state would change your state forever. But in the exact same way, if you're in a country town in Oklahoma and you don't like marijuana or in your area, one, you can vote it out of your county. Two, if you're in the big city, then you already have a big thing. Like, you already have a big place to live where people are visiting and bustling and shit. So I don't know, but population boom, population growth is really one of the few drawbacks, and more studies need to be done, I will admit, in the tie to the fact that there's a lot of opiate abuse in a lot of legal states, but that could be for a myriad of reasons. And so I would never say that cannabis is the claim, but I would say that more further research would need to be done to really prove why is that maybe a random correlation, or is there some type of direct correlation with that? But cannabis, it's coming. The market. I keep saying cannabis. I don't really like that term that much, but I say it so much simply because I don't want people to think that I'm just talking about like smokable flower. Like, the whole market of cannabis is going to come and take a lot of markets by storm. And it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Because at the end of the day, it's a plant that simply makes people like each other more. No matter what you want to classify it as, it's simply a substance that, in a general sense, makes other people like each other more. And that fact, I think, scares a lot of people in power. So we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep doing what we think is right, what we think is okay, acceptable, whatever you want to say. This J is finished. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for yet another episode of GP's Free Game. It's been another one. Peace.